Metallica. You know their accolades. Every metalhead has a strong opinion about them. It's usually a love-hate relationship, and for me it's similar. And you, watching this video, probably have a strong opinion about them too. That's what makes them so fascinating. And from what I've seen, the live experience is unlike any concert that you'll ever experience. To say that Metallica is highly influential to me and that I have listened to them for at least a few times a month since I was 12 is an understatement. For all the flaws and drama surrounding this band, I love them no matter what. And it was time for me to pay pilgrimage to these metal titans who have provided me with so much joy over the years, along with an outlet for me to project my anger into music in a healthy way, and also moments of confusion and curiosity while listening to Saint Anger and Lulu. The band encapsulates every emotion on the spectrum of the human condition in an honest and blunt way, and in a way that anyone can understand when they listen to lyrics like, "Darkness imprisoning me, all I see, absolute horror, I cannot live, I cannot die, trap myself, but in my hold and say, yeah." Or, "I want my anger to be healthy, my lifestyle determines my destiny." Oh god. I saved up to see them for 2 nights in Toronto at the Rogers Centre. Oh, the dreaded Rogers Centre. And the dreaded sports stadium live music experience that I do my best to avoid. Sitting beside obnoxious drunk fans who I can't avoid, and fighting the literal laws of physics as sound travels significantly slower than what you see if you're sitting far back in the nosebleeds. But before you continue, please hit that like and subscribe, because it really does make a lot of difference for small channels like me. It reminds me that there are human beings watching this, and that is the greatest joy that I often experience. Now, there are a couple concerns and questions I have as I write the script 5 months prior to my journey seeing the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse and their donut of doom and towers of terror. Number 1, how does one maneuver around this symmetrical structure? The snake pit is big, and that circumference where the general audience is situated is even bigger. When the show starts, can I move somewhere to get a better view of my boy Kirk, for example? Number 2, what does it sound like for general audiences? According to some folks who've seen them on rafter seating, where the closest line array is facing several degrees away, you get the echo from the sound reflected from the line array pointed towards the end of the stadium you're facing. Which is bad, and a huge oversight to one of the most ambitious and heaviest tour setups ever. Lighting, how does it look? Probably amazing. Before we explore the details of the experience, I would like to take the time to thank my sponsors. This video is brought to you by absolutely nothing. Alright, back to the video. The Rogers Centre, formerly known as the Sky Dome. Some of us continue to call it that to hold on to nostalgia and protest against capitalism. This iconic sports stadium holds up to 55,000 concert attendees, and the record for most visitors is during WrestleMania in 2002 with 68,237 attendees. Hell yeah. The numbers are probably less than that due to the unique setup for Metallica. One thing that really stands out for how Metallica presents themselves is their unique stage setup. No amps, all under the stage, an off-stage backline for switching to effects, while the only effects pedals on the stage are wah pedals, of course. 4 drum kits configured in a ominous donut of doom with 588 speakers. Some of them utilize the support of the material that's used to build space shuttles so things don't get damaged by the lower frequencies, which are hung from cables by 8 support towers, each with 2 line arrays from the middle of the stadium, opposed to the traditional roughly single direction facing setup. In the middle of the DoD is the hub of wires that hang the line arrays and video cameras that connect to the giant towers, which serve as video screens, VIP seating, grounded camera operators, lights, and also a space where the big balloons are housed in. Under the wire's web's hub is the snake pit, where 900 to 1200 fans get to experience the fine dining experience of sitting in the kitchen where the action takes place, where the band will be running on the way hiding. You'll pay 1,000 deaths. They have such a weird monumental setup with their own sound systems that make them sound the way they do. I decided to spend the time to arrive when things opened at 4. I got to talk with this really wonderful older lady about Neil Young, Rush, Frank Sinatra, her kids, and her grandkid. We waited in line before I realized that the ticket gate that I was supposed to go to was at the other side of the stadium, so we had to split up. But it was such a nice time meeting a stranger and just chatting about whatever and just learning more about life. Shout out to Kim. You're one badass lady. After jogging for 5 minutes nonstop to head to the gates to the floor where I needed to be, I darted towards the front of the stage where I waited for 2 hours, facing people with some fun band shirts and a black monolith beyond the barricade and security. These bands have big double D energy, big decibel, big donut. I can't really put into words to describe how big this donut actually is. Despite how many people there are, it gets even bigger throughout the night. And of course, by the time Metallica comes out, it's going to be completely packed, but still somewhat maneuverable, else frozen. Do I stay in this pretty good place where I'm close to the stage and where people in front of me weren't too tall? My mind is conditioned from all prior concert-going experience to say yes, stay, but my body screamed, "What the f*** are you doing here? You won't be able to see anything, you dumbass." Since I was so close to the front of the stage, when ST began their set, they just kind of spawned somewhere out of view, and I was thinking, were they on stage for the last 2 hours just waiting while I was staring into the void? Or did they just simply materialize into space and time spontaneously like Bruce Willis in Looper? Being at the front was like waiting for Mike Muir to play peekaboo. Sometimes he's gonna be there, sometimes not. At 62, that guy still has the raw charisma and energy that really helped to make things feel more visible. When he popped out of the edge of the donut and peekabooed, he really looks at you and makes you feel seen. I really appreciate that. Ben Wyman was losing his shit, jumping and spinning. Ty Trujillo, son of Rob Trujillo, who was also a past member of ST, was so chill and cool, having a wonderful time. Then there's Jay Weinberg. I had to move to a better vantage point to see him in action. Such an incredible drummer and a very wet man playing a very wet drum kit. Lots of hair whipping. If you're in the front behind him, you're in the splash zone. And it felt really awesome to see him in person finally. There's a lot of space in ST songs, and I was surprised by how clear they sounded on stage. Maybe I didn't need to worry about sound mixing after all, you know?
Wrong!
Pantera is the groove metal band. When the riffs are simple, they go hard as fuck. Songs like 5 Minutes Alone, This Love, and Walk sound epic when the crowd starts headbanging and moshing. But for the most part, I had no idea what Zach was playing. Things got too loud and muddy that the joy was lost in how distracting the issues were. It was also strange to see Zach playing a riff while octaves were activated off stage by someone else. It's efficient though. Speaking from experience, it's really annoying to switch effects on and off mid-song, and you have that extra layer of stress when all you want to do is riff and be present with the audience, so I get it. Something I noticed was that since the line arrays were arranged in a circular fashion, they sounded really messy if you were standing between two of them. The best place to be is right under one. I was able to get an okay view after their set, but the big issue is that it smelled like vomit and cigarettes. Pantera got way too loud and I was getting really scared. Metallica has one of the biggest double D energy of any band. I also find it hilarious that this was an all ages show. This is Metallica, the band who jizzed, whizzed, and bled to make their album art. The moment of truth is when the Ecstasy of Gold began playing. A Metallican tradition, a call to action, the ultimate walk-in music. You put this legendary tune on, you immediately feel like a badass cowboy. And I think this is the reason why Lars has a toothpick in his mouth 80% of the time. I got to see the top of James's head maneuver around the stage to have his pre-game cigar before walking those steps of destiny to rock the entirety of Canada. The thing that took me by surprise was how good the sound was compared to Pantera and ST. While ST had this breathing room and Pantera was completely muddy and too harsh, Metallica sat just right, where you can hear all the solos, you can feel the pulse of the bass drum if you're touching one of the barricades that surrounded the towers. And James's vocals sounded incredible. So clear, every word hits hard. I got wind during night 2 that people were having trouble hearing the bass as well. And I was kind of disappointed that between these 2 nights, I never got to really hear James's guitar since it was mixed on the opposite end of the stadium. But it is what it is. This is the live experience. You're gonna have to fight against a bunch of issues. And there's just so much that any musical act can minimize for you.
I just want to say the show is great. The band's fucking killed it. If you're lining up to head to the front of the stage, which is the normal practice of going to a show, with a single stage facing the audience, this is a completely different animal. Once you're up there and waiting, you have no idea where any member of any band is going to be at any one time. Are you going to catch a glimpse of a few seconds of Rob and that's it for the whole show? Are you going to see nothing but Rob for the entire show? You know, it's very random. For ST, I guess I can't say the band name on YouTube. They were so fucking fast, so fucking good. It was a pleasure to finally see Jay on the drums. I've been listening to so much Slipknot. It's surreal to at least hear a member who used to play for Slipknot. It was really hard to find him on the stage because that donut of doom is way bigger than you could ever imagine. There's also another drum kit, the Pantera drum kit, that was blanketed by black cloth, which obscured a lot of the view depending on where you are, at least where I was. So the fun part about this setup is that you get to move around if you're going solo. If you're going with somebody else, with a group of friends, that might be hard to navigate. But I went alone and I got to just go wherever the fuck I wanted, which is really fun. But also kind of annoying because I had to switch positions between every song. In the middle songs, I picked the songs that I wasn't too interested in, and there was also other people in the crowd, a lot of people doing the same thing as I was. So everybody's shuffling, it's kind of chaotic. Meanwhile, there are mosh pits forming right in front of me, and I just happen to be in the middle of one mid-walk. I'm not that big a fan of Pantera. They have some amazing songs. Really realize that's worth appreciating is how clear and dry the mixes are in those albums. I'm not a fan of very dry mixes, but hearing them in this venue, the biggest stadium in Toronto, in this very strange circular arrangement with line arrays not really pointing in directions that make sense, I guess, mathematically, makes it a very uneven experience, an uneven mix. Plus the literal echo that's coming from behind the venue to the very, very back of the Rogers Center, coming back at us to be, I don't know how the physics of this works, but to be eaten up by the sound that's being projected forward. So there's this like really strange loop of music that is kind of delayed, and especially from Pantera for some reason, because ST was mixed pretty low and he sounded pretty good and pretty clear, but it's hard to figure out details of the guitars for the show. And Pantera just was louder, but so muddy. I was shocked by what the crowd can pick up on where we were standing, because it was a total nightmare to keep track of what was going on. Good band though, really sounded bad, but songs are good. When Metallica went on stage, I was so worried, and I was right to be worried, because when the show started, it was fun to see James's head, just the top of his head, maneuver right in front of me across like 10 rows of very tall people. I just happened to be around the tallest people in the venue the whole night, which kind of sucks, but I did try to move around, and sometimes I could get a pretty good view. But to see him move across the crowd like that was a joy. Like, I've seen so many videos of people from the front row greeting James and being like, have a good night, have a good show, I hope things go well. And then James is just smoking this cigar. Somehow his voice is still incredible after smoking every night. I don't know how he does it. His wrists are just beyond anything you could ever imagine, just how dexterous he is. Let's say you're a short person, and there are a lot of short people. This is probably the worst. This is probably your nightmare, to see a tall, giant donut, and most people in front of you will be very tall, and probably the tallest people in the venue. PSA to my tall friends out there: if you're going to a show, try to, hang out in the middle or the back of the GA section, because short people, they need this. Let them enjoy. It was hard to really enjoy and take in a lot of the moments, because a lot of the time I was just staring at these giant towers where these really distorted, oftentimes effects heavy camera shots of the band members were, and it's hard to really enjoy live music in a giant stadium, I think. And I always run into that issue, and you're always fighting to either get a good view or a decent view of the band you're seeing, but also fight against trying to hear what's going on stage. And sometimes it's either or it's neither. And very rare instances, it's both. I did eventually get there at the end when they were playing Master Puppets. What happened was I was just done with standing right in front of the tallest people and protecting myself and people behind me from these really intense mosh pits. No offense to mosh pits. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I'm just gonna rest on this barricade that stands in front of one of the towers with this camera setup. Robert and Kirk had this jam, which just ended up being Redemption, which I really like that song a lot. People talk shit about that, but I really love that song and Def Magnetic in general. It felt like they were playing a shitty version of it because they had this really generic, bad sounding drum beat, which didn't quite match up with the sections of the song. Look, it's fun to hear that song live, but it's not fun to hear a lesser version of it. Second, I'm just gonna chill in the back if I can, and also watch out for Mosh Pits.
Now that I have a better sense of geography, I was able to do a little experiment. How long would it take for me to circle around the stage? This was right before Ice Nine Kills started their set, so the stadium was about 60% full. So I speed walked around the edge of the crowd that gathered towards the edge of the donut. It took me about 3 minutes. I got to station myself in front of a tower barricade where a VIP audience member gave us some pics. Cool. There were also 2 women dressed up as hot dogs and buns wearing red UFC hats who were circling the floor and at one point announced, "Excuse us, Wiener's coming through." There was also a dude dressed up as a banana with autographs on his costume. They were some of the funnest characters I've ever encountered. Ice Nine Kills is a horror movie inspired metalcore band with a lot of members. Sax, trumpeter, Art the Clown, woman with axe. Fun, but not really my thing. The circular stage made it really hard to see the choreo, since they were mainly facing the snake pit. But there were some dancers who were choreographed to face outward of the donut. There was a zombie who fell from some steps and smoothly tumbled and rolled back into the zombie walk, limping due to the sprained ankle. It looked really painful, but they played it off very well and was a total pro about it. Kudos. Limp Bizkit. Oh man. I've never had a more fun experience watching a band. And this includes Metallica. They were fucking awesome and everyone lost their shit. And this was so beyond anything I could have ever expected. I came out of it being a Limp Bizkit fan, and I don't think I'm gonna listen to their albums anytime soon, but I would definitely want to see them again. They were, what can I say? The crowd just ate that shit up and everyone was so into it. There's so many mosh pits. But a quick PSA about moshing. Please note that I don't mind moshing. I love watching the action of the pits, but I don't actively engage with the impact play. Mostly because I'm fragile and I'm carrying fragile things on me. Rule number 1, if someone falls, pick them back up and get them to the edge of the pit where they can catch their breath. You're a team now, remember that. Number 2, don't hold drinks in cups. Too often over these 2 nights, I witnessed so many instances of passers-by with drinks being completely destroyed as a mosh pit spontaneously forms around them. It's an automatic bye-bye to your drinks. They will lubricate the sweat of these enthusiastic war dancers and also make the floor slippery, which leads to more injuries than was ever intended. It also splashes those who do not want to be part of the moshing, and those who want to stay dry. The drinks will go everywhere and your money will go down the toilet. If you want a drink, do that if you have seats or at the concessions. The bigger the show is, and Metallica is the biggest of metal shows, the more unpredictable it gets for where your cups will end up. So please, for the love of Satan, get hydrated somewhere else and buy some bottled water instead, because the last things you want is for more people to get hurt and you feeling sad and you getting heat exhaustion, which happened during the second night. Rule number 3, if you do not wish to participate but can't avoid it, you are now the protector. This is my role usually, since I like to get close to the action. Check your surroundings. Is the pit forming? Yes. Can you make it out anywhere right now to avoid it? No. Are there people to your proximity who look like they don't want to be part of this? Yes. Whether you like it or not, you're now responsible for controlling the border of the pit. When someone bumps into you, gently use your palms to deflect and disperse the force of impact. Usually this is someone's back. Sometimes it's a naked back. Sometimes it's someone's front. If it's someone's front, you deflect the shoulders. It's not cool to fondle someone, but accidents do happen. Just say sorry. and have them decide with their own body to re-enter the pit. Don't push or shove them back in recklessly. Rule number 4. If the band tells you to form a pit, you form the pit and get out of the way. If the band knows what they're doing, and they usually will because they have a good view from up there on stage, this will lead to the funnest, most epic moments you'll ever experience, especially the Wall of Death, which will definitely lead to some injuries, so be prepared for that. Rule number 5. After the pit has calmed down and stopped, initiate thumbs up with your fellow humans and see if everyone's okay. If appropriate, a gentle, friendly hug may be appreciated. Aftercare is universally loved. Rule number 6. If you're a dick, you will be dealt with by someone bigger than you. Wyatt's Metal has an excellent video about Mosh Pits, which I've linked in the description. While waiting for Big M to begin their set, I turned and faced the barricade where there were cups and beer emptied all over the Bristol board and cable protectors. Please do not do this. Even though it's designed to be as safe as possible, you never know where liquid can travel. These are connected to these giant towers that connect to everything else along with other towers. Do you want to be the one who's responsible for a Metallica show malfunctioning? Or worse, injuring a crew member or a member of the band? I didn't think so. Anyway, there was this intriguing deer antler hanging from the camera's tripod, which made me really curious for most of the night. Why was this antler there? Did it have any significance to support the tripod? Is it some sort of ancient polytheistic Viking ritual where they had to put parts of animals on every tripod surrounding the stage to summon the gods of metal? Turns out someone in the crew had hunted a deer and someone's dogs were playing with it on tour, so they just kept it in case the dogs wanted to play with it more. I hope you've enjoyed that very useless tidbit of knowledge. You're welcome. Then things really fired off for the main event as AC/DC and Ennio Morricone blessed the line arrays in our ears in this stadium for the very last time in a very long time. There's one song in 72 Seasons that I'd like to talk about, and it's one of their most ambitious songs that I think may stand the test of time. The epic closer to 72 Seasons, the longest song Metallica has ever written. I love how honest James has been with his mental health. During the show, there were PSAs about suicide prevention and talking about mental health and talking to vets about PTSD and making the world a better place and providing funding for education. That's awesome. That's one of the things I love most about this band. With James, it's really hard to imagine and empathize with a person in their early 20s who was so quickly shot up to superstardom. Like he mentioned in Some Kind of Monster, it's weird being a famous guy. How does one process all those negative emotions and have it be something that a lot of people from around the world get to observe? It's a weird relationship to have with strangers as a celebrity. So the song starts with this mid-tempo, Tony Iommi-inspired stoner sludge riff. It's so simple with these 4 stabs and these dark guitar harmonies, perfectly accentuated by Lars's signature crash cymbal sound, as it morphs into this very simple and solid AC/DC type beat. Ironically, the guitar arrangements are way more complex and noodly in the verses in a story about how James is haunted by ghosts and demons. No matter where he goes and what he does, he's never alone and surrounded by this feeling of misery. Misery is described as a seductive muse, a muse that he's in an abusive relationship with, similar to one's relationship with substance abuse. He and his Inamorata are caught in this devastating tug of war that enables him to have these PTSD flashbacks. As much as she needs James in order to exist, he needs and loves her more, but he realizes that she's not what he's living for. The bluesy guitar solo from Kirk, which leads into a solemn instrumental break, dominated by those almost Black Sabbath supernaut hi-hat single-stroke rolls and psychedelic bass groove, contributing once again to this old-school heavy metal sound. And then we get what is one of Metallica's most beautiful dual guitar solos. Eventually we head into this epic outro and refrain with some gorgeous melody riffage that have been developing for the last 9 minutes, capped off by these choir vocals and a slowly ramping emotional guitar solo, and a section full of these soaring vertical melodic arrangements that showcases these guitar harmonies, and a grand finale that makes me think of how a symphony would end in the biggest way. This song has helped me deal with a lot of shit in my life for the last year or so. My father has been sick with cancer, and before this show, I was coming back from his funeral, and we were all processing as a family what is going to even happen after. My father was not really a good person. In fact, he was a horrible person. But it doesn't mean that the complex grief feels compromised. It does make grieving simple, but in other ways it makes grieving a lot more difficult than I could have ever imagined. Something feels off. It feels surreal. After the shame that I felt for not feeling anything, I've learned to accept this new reality. And seeing this song in person really helped me deal with a lot of those demons. So I really just wanted to thank Metallica for making this song happen and to give us the time and space to really experience it.
I was able to finally just get a spot in barricade and just sit on it and kind of space out because it's not very comfortable. It really hurts my ass. I'm gonna feel this in the morning really bad because I'm getting old. But I was able to see them do Whiplash and Ride the Lightning and Battery, For Whom the Bell Tolls, which was so epic. And I saw them just space out the corners of the stage. It's like, all right, we're going to this corner now. We're going to this next corner for the other quarter of the show. Like, they had this whole strategy down, and everybody felt like they got a good chance to see half of the members at least for an extended period of time because the mics were placed in a very strategic way. There were also some really short people beside me, and I felt so bad for them. There was this one couple. They were both petite people. She was having a really hard time trying to see anything, and so I helped her. And the lady beside me, who was also short, to record some footage, and I was able to get some really good views from where I was, and I hope they like the footage I got for them. The guy who was part of the couple, oh, bless that guy. He's such a gentleman. He had his partner up on his shoulders. I was telling her and him that there's space in the barricade for them to sit. And then he's like, oh, thank God. My shoulders are hurting so much. And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, oh, that's so cute. That's true love right there. Yeah, lovely night. Lots of things happened. The soreness and pain and anguish has gotten to me and has caught up. So I'm gonna take a long rest.
I feel that music events that are this gigantic have a lot of downsides to it. If you're far back, and most people will be, due to the money and access and just the logistics of space, you may feel like you're observing a party where you can barely hear or see what's going on. But sometimes when the stars align, you get to feel like you're in the party. When you have about 55,000 people screaming and singing along from a huge range of distances, the ambience soup is very overwhelming. And if you drown that out with even louder speakers and sound reflecting from different points of a giant stadium, you're gonna run into a lot of chaos. Some good earplugs will help a bit, but besides that, there's nothing you can really do. But something about being in the same space with this band, and they're doing their absolute best to deliver the most unique concert experience in the best way that they can do it. There's nothing quite like that, and it's gonna be a very fond memory that I'm gonna hold very close to me as time goes on for the rest of my life. Throughout the decades, Metallica has ventured into providing the concert experience at home through concert films, through DVDs, Blu-rays, and movie theaters, at film festivals, via Apple Vision Pro, the Metallica Fan Club, which you can get access to professionally mixed and edited live footage of their shows. Now, more than 4 decades into their career, the band has really matured into their older age. Although they show no signs of slowing down, there will come a day when the band will be over. And that'll be a very sad day for a significant chunk of music lovers. So next time they're in town, and you can afford it, why not go and visit them? There's no band quite like Metallica, and no other band that sounds like Metallica. Let me know what your experience was seeing Metallica live, whether it's this tour or a previous tour. What's a Metallica song that really hits you? I hope that you stay safe. I hope that you're kind to yourself and you're kind to others, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm Snackers Prime. Thank you for watching.